Uh, what's up, Ken? I'm out here, doing it. Um, Excite Center Market Street. Uh, Oi. Let's go ahead and do that. uh,
Hey, good. How are you? I had a little bit of a run over here, so I'm still a bit out of breath. Yeah. All right. Oh, I'm just ready to start the talk. I figured that would be a dramatic way to do it. All right. So, looks like there's probably a button that needs to be pressed here.
So let's see here. I'm actually thinking.
Oh wow, it's already got 2 likes. That's nice.
Yeah. So the stream is actually already going on.
Huh. Well, it says.
Or at least, or maybe it's just buffering. Oh wait, no. See, so this is our preview. I think there actually might just be a connection issue, honestly. So I've been dealing with it for the past 20 minutes, to be honest.
All right. Can anybody pull up the stream on the phone, make sure it's working?
Yeah. Can we get some double checking?
Yeah.
That'd be great. You know what? Yeah, let me pull it up on my phone too. Because I pulled it up on the computer thinking I'd be able to have some. Let's take a look.
Yeah, makes sense.
But I'm really not stressing it too much. It's the first time doing that. I had 5 things I had to deal with.
Yeah, totally.
That shouldn't have happened.
Oh my god!
Just because I'm here.
There's 4 people waiting, and it's just upcoming right now.
Yeah, I think there's a button that we need to press on YouTube.
Think so?
Yeah.
Because I tested this before, but I suppose. So let's see.
Yeah, it still says upcoming. What time did you schedule it for?
Right here. I'm pretty sure at 6 o'clock.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, so this is
upcoming. It could be that it's 5:59.
Yes, it could be that.
That would be it.
That's 6:02. I was just gonna say it just says waiting for.
Oh yeah.
Mechanics on my phone.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, it's actually 6:03. So
okay.
It should be going, but maybe it's because of computer time or something. Yeah, I don't even know what my laptop is doing. Talking about some 5:59. So I'll tell you that there is. Oh, there it is.
That's you.
It's up.
Cool.
I think. 1 second. So there's a Wawa over here. Oh no!
Oh no! That's way late.
Yo, this sounds like an hour behind, bro. That was like 15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So. So I think what I may have to do is simply just let people know on the stream, just like on my phone, the technical difficulties that we're having here, and we probably could just continue with the talk.
Cool. Yeah,
for
fair
those
enough.
In person. Yeah. And this, so I've been scanning this to see if there's like a button, but no. So this is what I'm streaming from.
Yeah,
right
totally.
Here. So this is doing its thing. It's streaming. It's casting here. And when I tested this before, it looked the same. So
is there anything in edit that might be doing it? Okay, definitely not.
Yeah, that's just cool. All right, so
cool. Oh well.
What I'll say is, simply get started. Don't worry about this.
Yeah.
And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I'll just keep.
How do I control that?
Yeah. So.
Oh.
Sorry, I should think what the UI, what we're all.
Yeah. So YouTube is telling me that it's being streamed right here at least.
Not receiving enough to maintain stream receiving. Yeah, because all it shows me is just waiting.
Okay. Yeah. So it looks like what I'll do is I'll go ahead and just let people know, for those who are watching, just what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we can't get it done, then I'll see what I can do about doing it next time. It's like,
Yeah.
this will be a good learning experience. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
wait!
Oh my God! It was right behind there.
It was
It was right behind the widget.
Also, quick question: are you doing this through OBS, like the
Yes.
platform? Do you have it set to record? Because at the very least, like you record the audio or record something so that you can post it later.
YouTube will be doing that, and also it's
Yeah.
now live.
Yeah,
No,
what's
because I
up?
can hear myself.
Yeah. What's up, Ken?
All right.
I'm out here, doing it.
Oh yeah.
All right. Okay, cool. Now we're golden, except I don't know how to move the slideshow.
Yeah. So you just use my mouse.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, is it just like off the side?
Yeah.
Cool.
And and since you're selected on it, I can just use that. Yep.
Yeah, cool.
All right.
All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. This is Marketing for Self-Publishers, how to turn an annoying, expensive, and boring task into a fun, cheap, and easy one. So, let's get started. So, first off, hello, I'm Heather Flowers. I'm the developer of Snake Farm, the Meat Punk series, The Last Days of French Valley. I just announced a new game yesterday called Fish Fear Me. I'll probably be plugging that later on account of this is a marketing talk, and some other stuff as well. I don't know. I've been around for a little bit. I'm a full-time independent game developer and self-publisher. I'll get into exactly what I mean by self-publisher later. This talk is part information that I have lived and experienced, and part shit that I Googled. Your mileage may vary, but hopefully it won't vary that much. So, why do I say self-publishers instead of indie games when I'm talking about marketing? That's because the term indie is weird. It has slowly shifted over time from a very specific meaning of an economic status of you do not have a publisher, you are independent from it, to a very broad thing where you have single I games, you have triple I games. An indie game can be anything from $0 to $5 million, and that is an absurd category to try and hit. So self-publishers, which I'm going to be using a lot in this talk, specifically refers to game developers without a publisher to handle QA, marketing, and other things that publishers might handle like payroll. So that's me, and very possibly you. So what is marketing? I love asking big questions like this because then I get to answer them. It is the practice of getting people to buy your game, in short, but in long, it's about finding and targeting the people who are most likely to buy your game. Now, that's a very specific distinction from just getting it in front of as many people as possible. Because if you walk up to a random person on the street, right, you say, hello, buy my game. They're going to say, who are you? What are you talking about? I don't know what a computer is. Goodbye. Maybe not that exact set of words, but, varying people who want different things out of life. So, games marketplaces, this is how they work, are populated by people who already have self-selected for wanting to buy games. People who are on Steam are looking to get Steam games, or at least have something to have the games that they already have contained in one place. So, because of this, it is not about creating the broadest mass market appeal. It's not about finding what that one person on the street wants, or 100 people on the street wants, and asking each of them individually, what do you want out of a video game? Because first off, you would get 100 different opinions, and second off, you don't have the resources to make that happen as a self-publisher. So, you don't have the resources to do this, so what you need to do instead is find and reach the very specific group of people who already want exactly what you're selling. I like to call this the find 30 freaks principle. You find 30 people who are absolute freaks about your game, they will support you for life. So this also means that you need to present your product in the most appealing, true light. You need to specifically say, okay, I have a puzzle game right here, and it has the coolest set of mechanics that you're ever going to see, specifically geared towards people who are already going to buy puzzle games. More on puzzle games later, actually. But because of that, you can't also say on top of that, and also it will make you live forever, because that's just objectively not true. Lying will get you nowhere. No one present your value proposition. So a value proposition is specifically why people will start playing your game and then once they have started, continue playing it. They don't need to continue forever, but they need to continue to at least the point that you have decided would be good for them to stop. So you need to approach it from the mindset that the average person does not care about your game. They have no idea what it is. They have no idea who you are. They have no investment whatsoever. I've seen so many trailers that start with, in the age of the dark aeons with the King Glorifax, and it's like, nobody knows who that is except for you. And it's cool lore. Like, it's undoubtedly a really cool story, but you're not going to get anything out of it if you don't already know who these people are and why they're doing it. So it's important to make a good video game. That's also true. And to be completely honest with yourself whether the game itself is good. This is actually a pretty big thing. You need to actually be able to, like, very honestly look at it and say, does this thing actually kind of suck? And if so, how can I fix it? It may be your baby, but you do have to kill it sometimes. So the player's value proposition when it comes to games is, this looks interesting, this appeals to my interests, so I will play it. The streamer's value proposition, this is also something worth keeping in mind, is this game appeals to my audience, so I'm willing to play it. When you are pitching your game specifically to streamers, you need to have a different pitch from doing it to the broader audience, because you need to say, hello, these are things that will get you a big audience. So marketing, of course, needs to clearly signal your value proposition, saying what niche you occupy, and then what sets you apart from everything else in that niche. You need to be outstanding in your field while also being within your field. It's kind of like a paradoxical, kind of tricky balance to strike. So let's go through some basic marketing for how to get a game successful on Steam. And when I say successful, I mean enough to keep you going for a while longer. I have never made $1 million off Steam. I hope to maybe someday, but not yet. I'm here because I have kept going, and I've been able to keep going because I've sold okay over the years, but not great. So the Steam algorithm can either be your best friend or your worst enemy. Whenever I see people talking about the Steam algorithm online, it is either with adoration or hatred. A massive percentage of players will find your game through the Steam algorithm. That's because of that self-selection thing earlier. People will find your game on the marketplace because they are on the marketplace to find games, and that is why they will buy them there. So, some important numbers for getting on the algorithm's good side are wish lists. Ideally, you want around 7,000. This is not hugely necessary, but this will get you on the front page, and that's a huge boost for you. Things that will help with this are, of course, having a page that's up for a while. You want your page to marinate for a good long while. Not for eternity, because if the game never comes out, then you don't get paid. But, you know, enough to get people's attention and let them sit with that attention for a while. Having a demo will also help. People like being able to play something and then clicking the little button on the main menu that says, go wishlist our game here, and then it brings you to the store page, and then you click that button there. And then 5 months later, they get an email saying, hey, the game's out. Having a trailer is also a big thing for this. That just helps your numbers overall. People like watching trailers a lot more than they like looking at still images and thinking, I wonder how this would move. So, reviews. This is the other big thing. This is the make or break point. You need to have at least 10 reviews on day one. By specifically, people who did not get the game for free. People who paid for it with their own money. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't, for example, go to 10 friends of yours and say, hey, could you buy and play my game on day one? You can't give them money for it, but you can ask them nicely. And if they do that, and if they all give the game a review, you have reached the point where Steam considers your game real and will actually start showing it to other people. So this is ideal. This is necessary. And yeah, never ever pay for reviews. Don't do it. You will get, a terms of service violation. It's not really a good idea for a large number of reasons. So, moving on to basic marketing for trailers, since that's something that I mentioned. There's a link here. I will link this in the PGM Discord afterwards. This is a good website for figuring out exactly how to make video game trailers. I recommend it. The general 3 rules that you need to stick to are genre, then hook, then content. And it's very important that these go in this exact order. It's like the reduce, reuse, recycle of game trailers. So genre is immediately stating what you are, like what kind of base you are appealing to. You need to say this in the first 5 seconds. You need to say, oh, here's a Sokoban game, or here's a puzzle platformer, or here's a first-person shooter. You need to have that out immediately. You skip the 50 logos saying what your cool studio's name is. You skip the story intro. You leave that for later, and you skip everything other than, hey, here is a person doing a thing. Here is the primary action of the game. So then there's hook, which is the thing that makes your game different from everything else in that genre. It is your unique pitch. You need to have this, not just because it's good marketing advice, but because if you don't, then what are you doing? You're just making somebody else's game. That's probably a problem that you need to be fixing just on a design standpoint. And then finally, content. Content is all the stuff in your game that you think makes it cool. This is where you put your montage of levels. This is where you put that one cool story beat that you actually think can reach somebody who doesn't care about your game at all. Content always needs to go last because otherwise it is completely without context. So that's sort of the main formula for trailers that will get you a decent amount of views and people will understand what they're watching the entire time. So, remember the nobody rule, and I say this with love. Nobody cares about your studio name. Nobody cares about your game's lore. Nobody cares about tiny incremental genre improvements. And just because you love something about your game doesn't mean that every person on the planet will. This is a very hard lesson. And again, I say this with love. You are allowed to love every single aspect of your project, and it is good if you do that. But you cannot expect anybody else to do that. All right. So then there are schedules of trailers. You probably want to have an announcement trailer, then a release date trailer, then a launch trailer if you are building up a hype cycle over time. It really depends on your exact project, but that is something that I would generally recommend doing. Announcement trailers are basically placeholders to make your Steam page look decent. I actually need to make an announcement trailer this weekend. But they make your Steam page look real while you accumulate wishlists and work on the rest of your game. It can be as simple as 30 seconds of gameplay with cuts every 5 seconds to show something different. Doesn't have to be super fancy, just has to be real. So, going onwards, let's talk about social media. Social media is the bane of my existence, personally. My hot take, this is one of a few in this talk, is that social media is absolutely terrible for marketing games except for very few specific conditions. 99% of the time, if you're posting on Twitter and you're getting 12 likes, that isn't really going to do anything for you other than have 12 people know the name of your game and then not wishlist it. People on social media are there to scroll. They're there to be entertained. They're there to look at something and forget about it 5 seconds later. They're not there to buy video games, and they're not there to click on links. For a long time, people thought that Twitter was actually suppressing links and link to Patreons, link to GoFundMes, etc. And it turns out that people just don't interact with those because they're there for Twitter. They're not there for other websites. So there are some exceptions to this. Games that for some reason have that thing that makes them go viral a lot. I don't know what that thing is. I personally haven't had it. I know that there are games out there that do have it. If you post a screenshot of your game, or if you post a clip to TikTok and it gets 100,000 views, you've got something. Please just keep working with that. Figure out how to keep going along that trend. Otherwise, don't stress it too much. There's other ways to get views, and there's other ways to get people paying for your product. So games that are also directly geared for social media are pretty good for this. A pretty decent example are Twitch games that have very specific streaming value propositions, stuff like Among Us, where it's really funny to watch somebody stream and know that somebody else on that stream is lying to them. Games that are targeted towards an audience that can only be reached through social media. For example, if you are making a game that's geared towards a very specific fandom, if you post a lot in that fandom's group chat, or in their hashtag on Tumblr, I don't know, that can actually get you somewhere potentially, because that's people who already have some amount of investment in the thing that you are making, and you can push that a little bit. Don't push it too much, because if you get to the point where you are saturating the feeds, people will just block you, but worth keeping in mind. So, next up is influencers. These are my favorite. Influencers are just people online people like them for some reason. I don't entirely get it. I respect it. I love them. They are great. So this is the technique that I have used for Snake Farm. It is a technique that I'm going to use for every single game that I make from here on out because it got me 1 million views on YouTube. So you go to YouTube and Twitch. You search the name of a game that is like yours, but that was popular. And you get the emails of the 50 most popular videos that you find. So, for example, I literally just searched Vampire Survivors and took down every email I could. Then you go and you email every single person on that list their own demo key. And essentially just add a very nice email at the end, like surrounding it saying hello, thank you, etc. So, quick, anatomy is the polite intro, then the pitch, the value proposition, the release date, the Steam code, the page link, the trailer link, the polite outro. This will all be on the Discord, by the way. So for what I did for Snake Farm was for the intro, I said, "Hi there, my name is Heather Flowers, and I'm the solo developer of Snake Farm, a Vampire Survivors like roguelike about fighting snakes to the death, buying their oil and selling their oil and buying stronger snakes to fight." That is immediately the intro, the pitch, the value proposition. Because the value proposition is the fact that it is connected to this other game that is popular. It's a tight, tense game loop that lets you set your own challenges. The stronger the snake, the better the reward. Again, value proposition. The game comes out September 5th, release date, but your code is active now, Steam code. Then you have the page link, the trailer itself, and then thank you for your time. If you have any questions, feel free to email me here, Best Heather Flowers. It is literally that simple. And out of the 50 people that I emailed, I would say about 10 to 20 of them made a game, or made a video. And a couple of those videos got several 100,000 views. So in the end, it worked out very well for me. This is the number one thing. This was 100 times more useful than social media. So let's talk about the other most important marketing technique, being annoying. When I talk to other devs about marketing, the number one worry that I keep hearing is I don't want to push too hard. I don't want to be annoying. And I'm sort of going against something that I said earlier. I will get to that in a second. But you need to be annoying. You need to be annoying. It is the number one thing that you need to do in order to get your game out there. You are the only champion of your game. If you don't care enough to yell about it, to shout it to the heavens, nobody else will either. I am annoying as hell, and so can you. I was called very annoying at several different parts of my life, and by God, that is something that I honed to an edge. That is something that I can email people over and over again at every single milestone saying, "Hello, thank you for making a video," or "I know this that you haven't made a video yet, but here's some more information. Here's new content. Here's what I am doing to increase the value proposition." You want to just be on that as much as possible. So then we've gone on to advanced marketing. If you've done everything up to this point, you are going to do pretty much okay. You are going to do fine. Oh, I've heard that there is a big echo in the chat. There's not much. Oh, okay, we're good. Cool. All right. So if you do all this stuff, you're probably going to be doing pretty okay. Now, next up is the advanced stuff. This is the stuff that you kind of have to plan ahead for. It is worth it if you do. You are not damned if you don't, but it is worth doing. So first up is making your game marketable. This is the part where marketing starts to impact game design. This is the part where people start scooching their chairs away a little bit. I promise it is not as skeevy as it sounds. So, going back to that concept in the trailer bit about genre hook content. Does your game have a hook? A hook specifically being something surprising and desirable. Also, ideally, something communicated clearly. So, for example, let's take the old school platformer VVVVV. That has the immediate hook of it's a platformer where you don't jump, you just reverse gravity. That is an immediate hook because you understand how it works, and you think, oh, how hard could that be? And then it's really hard, and then you're hooked even further. So is the game compelling? Second by second, minute by minute, hour by hour. I thought I might have put year by year there. I'm kind of glad that I didn't. That would have been weird. So you need to make sure that you have a game loop that, I mean, it can require investment, but you need to give a good reason for that investment to take place. You need to essentially sit down and be very honest with yourself, like, is this fun to play? Will this, and not just, is this in my own head fun to play? Like, am I proud of myself? Because, of course, you can be proud of yourself. You should all be proud of yourselves for being here. But would a person that I'm trying to target with this game actually find a continual reason to continue playing it? And then also there's the question of, is there a reason to discuss this game? Do you make it easy to share information about it? Disco Elysium is my primary point of reference about this. The thing that makes Disco Elysium special is its writing. But the thing that makes its writing special is that it does something unlike any other visual novel. Pretty much every game that's a visual novel displays one line of text at a time, like a horizontal box at the bottom of the screen that says one line of dialogue, and then you click a button and it disappears that line and shows the next line. This is fine. This is okay, but it means that in order to communicate and share the setup and punchline for a joke, you need to take multiple screenshots and know that you're doing it the entire way through. Disco Elysium has its dialogue on a vertical ticker, which means that you can see the entire conversation, take a screenshot of just an entire section of it, and say, okay, here is the funny bit. Here is the bit that I find compelling. Here's the bit that made me cry. And because of that, it is so easy to share things about Disco Elysium. It's part of the reason why the game is so popular. The other part is that, again, it's a very good video game that I recommend everybody plays. So, another thing to keep in mind is, do you have a target audience in mind when you continue playing with, or when you begin making it? I'm going to come back to this later. There's a chart that I may or may not have included. I don't entirely remember because I made this presentation a week or two ago. If I did not include the chart, then I will come back to this. And if I did, I will talk about it later. So, let's talk about getting creative in marketing. So this is the bit where you can just, now that you have the basic framework of put the game in front of people you already know will want it, you can start to do weird stuff. You can manipulate the algorithm with high wishlist velocity before Steam Next Fest, which I will also talk about Steam Next Fest in a little bit, to supercharge your demo. This is called the double jump. It's a fairly new thing. Xalavier Nelson was the person who sort of pioneered it. We'll get to him in a minute. He's a great guy. You can get really into YouTube devlogs in hopes that one of those gets really popular. I don't know how that happens, but sometimes it does. Probably don't start an ARG. This is something that I am saying, like, personally, as somebody who has done an ARG. You think it's going to be really cool, and then you get two really dedicated fans, and then you have to make content for them for a year. It's not great.
Yeah. What's an ARG?
An ARG is an alternate reality game. Essentially, it is a giant puzzle that you put online with like a bunch of different tiny steps, and then people will discover the ARG and then sort of play through its steps and trying to decipher all the really tricky parts of it together as a group. The most classic example being the I Love Bees campaign, which I think was done by Halo. Yeah, Halo. Cool. And it's cool if you have a really big user base. If not, nobody will ever find it. You can also appear in people's dreams and psychically compel them to do things. This is really good if you want money or for somebody to commit a murder for you. Okay, so it looks like I didn't include that chart, which means that I'm going to be talking now about market research. This is something that this is a bit of a hobby horse of mine. I feel like so many different game developers just decide that they are going to make a good game, and that is going to be enough for it to sell. But the truth is that different genres of video game have different markets, and those markets have different sizes. Platformers are one of the most popular genres on Steam by number of games made. Every game developer loves making platformers because every game developer loves Mario with their entire heart. But nobody buys platformers. They are one of the least successful genres, especially in the indie space, because everybody loves Mario with their whole heart, or they love Sonic. They don't love Jumping Jerry. I don't know who that is. So you need to do you need to look into it and accept that there's only ever going to be one Celeste, and Celeste has already been made. genres change year by year. I really recommend the blog howtomarketagame.com. Every year at the end of the year, they post a really good. They post a lot of good stuff in general, but they post a really good chart of the relative popularity of certain indie game genres and how likely you are to reach 1,000 reviews based on the genre of your game and nothing else. Platformers, 3D and 2D, are both towards the bottom, along with hidden object games and a fourth thing that I can't remember. And the top is always stuff like roguelikes and deck builders and multiplayer shooters. Now, of course, some of these have very different commitment levels. Like if you're making a multiplayer shooter, whether you're going to be doing that as a self-publisher is up to debate. But whether you can, you can look at that list and see, okay, which of these am I capable of doing? And if so, what are my chances of actually getting success here? Like, making independent games, being a self-publisher, is basically like buying as many lottery tickets as possible, which is very frustrating, but also some lottery tickets are easier to buy than others, I guess, in this metaphor. This has kind of got away from me, but that's sort of the point that I'm trying to make. I will also be posting that chart in the Discord because, again, I think about it all the time. So, let's do a quick group discussion. No more lecture, not really. I mean, I have other things to talk about, but first I want to hear from all of you. How are you doing? How has your day been? What is your game and how are you trying to sell it?
I'm just gonna. So number one, great, fantastic. I especially love the part about the influencers because I think that kind of goes into what you were saying about like not being annoying and having to break that. And I think that's really important, especially because social media is such a place. That being said, I am gonna backpedal a little bit on some things.
Okay.
Say, I'm working on a Metroidvania style platformer right now that had a very successful Kickstarter ways back. And I think that worked out for us because it goes back to what you're saying about like trailers, like book and such. Like we've got like really good hand-drawn art. We're working with a public domain property that people know but hasn't been made into a game in a while, et cetera, et cetera. And that's really worked out good for us as well as just like taking our community and we have a Discord that started as part of the Kickstarter that we continually do updates. We're not just like posting everything to Kickstarter, but as we're building things out, we're chatting with our folks on there, to keep them excited about it, to keep them talking about it. That's where we post our demos regularly before we post them public and everything. So
yeah, having a community like that is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. But and again, so there were things that we had to do to be able to build that. I very much, and I think this is because I'm very old school minded, that I still feel that you can make these things work. But to your point about the lottery ticket thing, I actually think that's a perfect metaphor. Is that you have to look at what you're fighting against, and then okay, how can I account for that? What are things that we can build into this?
Yeah, totally. Also, I will say on that chart, Metroidvanias are decently high. Yeah. It's split apart from platformers.
You have something like that.
It's interesting because for me they're just it's a subset of the same thing.
Yeah, fair.
For sure, but
every categorization is weird.
That, you have the games you want to make. You should make it, but know that your road might be a little bit harder, and that there are things that you can do. So
Metroidvania is usually 2D. So it's like usually, we're talking about Metroidvania.
That's a whole genre discussion. So that's my perspective on that.
All right, thank you.
You already know I'm working with the game as well. And in terms of how I'm approaching marketing, I started designing the game before I had a lot of knowledge of marketing in general in terms of games. And I look back and I realized now marketing is one of the first things I'm gonna start thinking about in terms of design. So I changed a lot of the direction I was going with my game, which is called Flow Last Origins. Because I actually already got a demo of Steam that I'm getting ready to update in September. And so it started out as a JRPG, right? And then I'm like, oh wow, scale. No. and then I'm like, okay, how can I still make something that's like a JRPG but just smaller scale. And the roguelike genre is very popular. Fits combat mechanics very well because it's a combat game. And so a lot of the mechanics that I already had put into the game, ready to be scaled up into a JRPG, were able to translate very easily into a roguelike, which is a much more indie-friendly genre in terms of how you can design it. And then I'm like, okay, like, how do I get this, my cool combat system? Like, what can I tell people about it that will make it sound good, really just like right off the tongue? And so, it has it has a stance system in it. And so I was going with that for a while, but then like I just kept like looking at my competition per se, and like, there are games that have combat systems that might be interesting, but when you really look at it, it's like they're very unique games aside from the combat system. So you can have unique combat systems, people talk about that, but like games like Absolver or like Hades or Devil May Cry, there's like at face value you can show in 2 seconds what is unique about that combat game.
Yeah, totally.
So like a stance system, not really. It's like it's a little more complex.
Yeah, and something that I remember reading, I think it might have been in that game trailers thing. It was something about creating hooks. I have links here. It's one of these links. Like there's the definition of sometimes hooks are external in that like you look at them and immediately know, and sometimes they're internal where you have to feel them, but as soon as you feel them, you're obsessed.
Yeah.
So it's good to have both, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So I was trying to make it easier for my game to make it easier for me and whatever efforts I put towards in the future for me to get some traction. And so I'm like, okay, what do I do with this game? Okay, stance system, cool, it's fun. You can have some enemy design around that. That can be fun. What else, that I can like show at face value? So I came to the conclusion, this is kind of like my wrap up on my whole point here. I came to the conclusion that making something that's like an obvious genre mix would be like what I would go with, because I see a lot of games with success like that. Namely, and don't set me on fire for this, people, Palworld. Okay? Palworld is a great example of a game that is taking advantage of solving a problem in the market caused by Pokemon, and they took the survival strategy genre, life sim and stuff, and combined it with creature capture. It's like 2 very popular genres, and one of the genres, creature capturing, has a huge hole in it. It's like prime opportunity, and it's like I myself can't believe I didn't think of that. But anyway, so I'm like, I think there's something there in that formula. So I'm like, okay, my action game's got a stance. Cool. What if I throw in creature capture?
Ooh.
Like, you already knew I was going. So what if I get my combat and implement my stance system into creature capturing? What can stances have to do with creature capturing? And then what is the trailer going to look like? Combos with your monsters. It's like, it's freaking obvious. Throw out a monster, combo with it, have something to do with stance, so we can play it. It's crazy. And I see that as a very, I'm kind of digging into the creature capturing hole a little bit as well. Not as deeply as Palworld, but I'm not expecting that. I kind of need that. But I think that's my whole thing, right? Think about marketing and what you're talking about here, reaching out to streamers, that all connects to that. So they can look at that and be like, wow, I'm playing this game,
Yeah, when it comes to creature capturing, I think something that is really an under-tapped market with that, and I think you could do this really well given that your stance system is also very positional, is like treating your creature like a fighting partner, meaning that a lot of the moves that you do with them is stuff that's positional. Like I think sort of in Hades 2, which I played a fair amount of, they have something sort of like creature capturing where you have a couple familiars that you can unlock and then upgrade. and like if you go near your familiar and do an action, then they do something that sort of combos off of you. So I think that would be something really cool, like a monster that you can jump off the back of and then do a backflip and then stab down or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, something that looks and feels very cool immediately.
Exactly.
So yeah, I definitely think that's a really good matchup there.
Yeah. So in my game is 3D too. So
Mhm.
like I can do a lot of showing that you can like capture the monsters by fighting them.
Mhm.
Maybe like show like the UI of them like being lined up in your party, whatever. You toss them out,
Mhm.
combo, tough, and then millions of sales.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So that's my approach to marketing my game so far. And for anybody listening right now who's able to hear me on the stream, my game's called Flow Last Origins. It's not really technically announced right now, but there is a demo up on Steam, and I'm getting ready to start doing more, like pushing the demo a lot more to get people to play it and actually experience what's going on.
All right.
So when it comes to Steam Next Fest, you can only choose one Next Fest.
Yes.
So
Yes.
There's a limit, so you have to be very careful with that.
Mhm.
So when is it best to release for the Steam Next Fest?
So this is something that I have learned. I accidentally dodged a bullet on this. Since you can only do Next Fest once, you want to do it on the last possible opportunity, because it isn't just you go into Steam Next Fest and you gain a flat number of wish lists. It's that you go in there and you get a multiplier. You get like 50% more wish lists than you previously had. So you want to go in with as many as possible, so you can go out with as many as possible. Also, this is big. If you're deciding to shift from self-publishing to regular publishing, if you have ever done Steam Next Fest, you are dead in the water because of that multiplier. It is such a big thing that if you are trying to pitch to publishers and you've already done Steam Next Fest, you are essentially saying, hey, we've wasted our biggest marketing opportunity and you can't get that back.
Right.
So, something to keep in mind.
Right. Can I add to that?
Yeah, go for it.
Steam Next Fest is a great tool to use along with Steam Festivals in general. And I think that's also a misconception that indie developers who haven't like launched a game before, like work with Steam a lot. There's a distinct difference between the Next Fest, which you can do once, and Steam Festivals, which you can do indefinitely. And Steam Festivals are known to be the best way to get your wishlist stuff. The absolute best way. In terms of, streamers first and then Next Fest. So streamers doing the call to action, the wish list, and then Steam Festival. And then with Steam Next Fest, you do the Next Fest after you've done all the possible marketing you could do. You schedule your launch date to be after the Next Fest at some point. So, and you can use that as a marketing fee. Pay launching, at this point, Steam Next Fest, you can play your game and then you get more wish lists. And that's how, that's the best way to use it.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually going to follow on, but I wasn't quite done with the question.
I'm so sorry.
Which is fine, because it solves things I already know, like reveal only their launches.
Cool.
But mine was more like demo or launch with Steam Next Fest.
Well, you can't launch with Steam Next Fest because you need it has to be a demo. Yeah. If a game is already launched, then it's not next anymore.
Yeah. I was saying some people like search people do
Oh yeah. Some people do it immediately afterwards. It depends on exactly which one it was. Like I've heard that the June one is a really terrible one to launch immediately afterwards because everybody has that idea because it's a gap between two big festivals. But the February and October ones are fine to do that. I don't know if that's true. That's just what I've heard.
So just continuing on the topic of festivals, because I could use some clarification, and maybe this will be helpful to everybody as well. But if anybody's interested, you can check this out on your phone right now. Just do a web search for list of Steam festivals, and when I did that, the very first thing that popped up is from Steam. It's a list of their 2024 festivals. So, like for example, coming up, it's Space Exploration Fest in first week, and starting September 2nd and 9th. But anyway, for my question, so if I understand correctly, Steam Next Fest is specifically for if you have a demo. So put that for Steam Next Fest. But all these other festivals, like for example, Tower Defense Fest, Space Exploration Fest, like I said, is going to start September 2nd. Plane Trades and Automobiles Fest, yada yada yada. Are those specifically for demos, or is it like any completed game can be in those other festivals?
If I recall correctly, you can do either demos or completed games. I've only done completed games in those, so I don't know if demos are allowed or not, but I imagine that they would be.
No, like that those are used for marketing reasons a lot. It's like you put up a demo, and you want it to be a good demo. Because if people play and they're like, hey, this is awesome, on the wish list, right? So you do it before your launch. So yeah, demos for sure.
Cool.
And then, I'm sorry about that, just real quick. I apologize, I gave it late. Maybe you already said this. Are you already, or have you already shared your deck, your presentation on the PGM?
No, I will be doing that after this.
Great, thank you.
So, all the follow-up.
Mhm.
So, how long after Steam Access would you say is a good time to release the full game?
I mean, honestly, anytime. Like, it's whenever you feel ready, like, you are able to do it. Like, a lot of people will get very much in their heads about, oh, I can't launch it the same day as this big AAA game. But that's a completely different market. Those are people who are buying games that are $70. You're selling a game that's $15. It's a completely different sphere. So you shouldn't worry so much about that. All you need to worry about is volume. And like I said, there's sort of a gap between June Next Fest and what's the other big festival that's like immediately after Next Fest?
Are you talking about the seasonal sales?
Yeah, it was the summer sale, yes. That's not a great gap to release in because a lot of people get the idea to put like their game out during that gap, and you can get crowded out a little bit. But other than that very specific use case, you can pretty much just launch whenever. Like the thing that will make or break you isn't whether like the exact day of the week that you launch, it is how much preparation you've done up to that point. All right.
So cool. So my name's Nick. I'm working on a game that's a poker and auto battle game. It's not like poker. You get the cards, but the cards kind of represent armies, and they like battle it out. So it's kind of poker and auto battle. I think good talk. A lot of what you said I think ran true for me. Social media was really rough. We did some like YouTube shorts and TikToks, and I was totally flopped. Reddit was medium. I got like up to 20 wish lists on Reddit post once, and that was the best. Reddit was
Oh, I got banned from r/gaming.
My game has the word poker in it, and that's been a nightmare on Reddit where there's tons of filters that like auto delete my posts. So that's been fun.
Oh wait, Poker Warlords?
Yeah.
You're Nick, right?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I spoke with your dev partner in NYC.
Well,
The India event.
At Brooksband last night. Awesome. Cool. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
No, that's great. And then so
Awesome game, by the way.
awesome thing. Yeah. So the game started as a StarCraft mod, and so I've been to like market to my StarCraft people, and that's been pretty successful. I haven't quite reached out to other people yet. Maybe a question for you I have is that my game is very fundamentally multiplayer. Like it's not really fun to play at all by yourself. I have a big list of YouTubers we reach out to, but it's like, most of these indie game reviewers only do single player games. It's kind of, it's tough to have like a multiplayer experience. Maybe the question for you is, have you maybe tips for multiplayer game advertising?
So I haven't done that personally. What I imagine would be a good idea is to sort of create a like week-long or 2-week-long crucible where everybody who you've sent your game out to only has that period to play the game, so they are much more likely to run into other players while they are doing that.
Yeah, that's actually what I was leaning towards. So.
Cool.
Yeah, just for a follow-up on that, I know like Omega Strikers, I don't know if you've heard of that game, but they did a really big like beta play test and then another play test leading up to the launch. Those two like really gave a lot of so yeah, I feel like a dedicated play test.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Circling back to, I am working on a puzzle platformer, retro style, so I have nothing to say about Steam marketability. But circling back to what Aiden, you were saying about your game, and like what's the features that you're trying to add to make it marketable based off of Palworld. I remember you said it sounds great, I can definitely see this on Campfire as kind of like learning from the animals and stances, stuff like that, but when it comes to like the hole in the market for games like Pokemon, obviously Pokemon still sells tremendous amounts.
Yeah.
People have tried to actually kind of compete with that, like Tap Tap, and cassette pieces. We're going to kind of spin more so with cassette pieces, but I don't know if they've like reached that level of Power World or Pokemon. But I think for Power World, is definitely like
me.
It was like Pokemon. It was Pokemon with guns.
Yeah,
To the point where they were kind of like vague. And they also marinated that for a long time. It was like, here's a teaser, and everyone's like, Pokemon with guns,
bro.
And then like as you get closer and closer to the release, it's like, oh, it's actually a strategy. It's a rival game. What? It's not necessarily, So there's a little bit of a.
It's definitely still Pokemon with guns. Like, don't get me wrong, people still recognize it.
It's Pokemon making guns for you.
Pokemon exploitation.
Yeah.
People are like, yes.
But so I think it's important to recognize like why how it blew up.
Absolutely. Beyond just like Marvel. Right. No, definitely like look at that more for sure. Yes. And like I have thoughts around that in that like full one survival plus creature capture just on a base level.
No, it's survival games are like.
Yeah, exactly. Like on a basic level, those two mix very well. Just like by default. And so I think that's part of part of it. Of course, like just like the way that the trailer came out, just like what it showed is like just fresh Pokemon. It's like so you're able to go viral in that way. And I would attribute a lot of that success just based on the general appeal that had toward the streamers. It's like you can talk about a Pokemon like game that has survival mechanics very easily.
Thing I know plus thing I know.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm banking on that for the most part. Yeah, like basically like you said, it's like you have a genre that people know and another genre that people know, and then you put it, you incorporate them in a unique way that can come out with like unique interactions that people might not have seen before. And of course, like there's also like different marketing things that I will that I took some notes on for a while ago. I can't bring up like specifically now, but like they got contact with streamers. They make some crazy moves. I wish I like had like a report on it right now, so I could like dish it out to everybody. But I haven't looked at it long enough. But yeah.
All right. I saw you raise your hand first, and then you.
So this is more about like process, right? So how did you end up deciding this to be your genre? Because of Vampire Survivors? Like, what's your process?
So literally for Snake Farm, I was at a point where I was just like, I need to make money. So I'm going to make a game in the most popular genre, and then I did, and it was decently popular.
Because for our project, it was a very stupid reason why I got into visual novels. Because I'm like, I don't want too much programming. I'll just do visual novels. Easy peasy. It's easy to RPGs because it's like content. It's so much content to move like an inch. It's crazy. So it's like 6-month project in and out, no problem, right? Years later, still here, you're dying inside. I know someone else is also making a yet, and there's like pushing it out because when I'm done with it, I'm like, that's not the real reason to do it. So I'm like kind of torn about like exactly what I want to watch it, what I'm willing to accept.
So there's a few there's a complicated calculus to be done there. On the one hand, you want the game to come out and be the best it can be, but on the other hand, if it's not going to sell well anyways, you might as well just get it to the point that you feel like you have done the concept justice and just put it out so that you can move on to the next thing.
Because I get a lot of numbers on the wish list. This is a guy that inspired me not to release it just to get it out there. But like spent 10 years on his game. He got like this 12,000 wish lists, etc. But I'm also like I don't want to work on it again for that.
Yeah, don't do that to yourself. So if I may ask the question, what wish list number are you currently looking at?
I was just aiming for about 5,000.
And how many do you have?
I have like 1,200 pretty much. But here's the thing with our game. It's like talk about marketing like weird thing. I think I told you about it in the call. But I just became an influencer by accident. Talk about
yeah, right. I remember you telling me about this.
Like obviously a YouTube account because I'm also an animator. And a video I made 15 years ago popped off. Has like 1.5 million views on it now. And now I have 16,000 subscribers that look at my content. Most of it is like, yo, this guy made this video before I was alive. He also gets a game. I'm like, yes, I do have a game. So when I don't touch the video, I just make shorts. And those shorts do very well. They convert to wishlist. So I got 700 wishlists just from that weird fluke by itself. Also, I got a comment about how my robots are sexy. And again, it's first of all, I'm my game is called Oddbear. It's a sci-fi visual novel about androids in space. Visual novels are already a niche. We double niched ourselves because it's not romance, it's not hard. They're very successful visual novels. Which was sci-fi. Sci-fi heavy on narrative. Doomed. But still making it anyways, you still have an audience.
So
And what makes it unique is I get bored a lot very quickly with VM. So it's fully animated, fully voiced, so visually very impressive. And I think that's what really gets people drawn.
Yeah, in that case, I feel like you have a game that is going to be served very well by people playing it. And I think you just have to accept that you may not be launching with the best wishlist numbers, but that doesn't mean that you're necessarily doomed from the start. Like, what is your daily wishlist conversion rate?
I don't know.
Okay.